Hey crafty friends, this is Jenny Barnett-Roars of CraftTestimonies.com, and today I'm continuing my series of working with Gamsol, a colorless, odorless mineral spirits, and I'm comparing the different kinds of colored pencils you can use with them. So if you want to know which colored pencils works the best, stay tuned. For my first sample, I used the 5 different kinds of colored pencils on Ultrasmooth cardstock. This is the kind of cardstock that you generally use for rubber stamping or for coloring with alcohol-based markers. So I wanted to see how that would work, and I used the Crayolas, Spectrum Noirs, Color Soft, Prismacolor, and then the Liquimark, which is from the dollar store. That's why it says DS. I used the same technique, an outline, and then I used the Gamsol to blend it in, and I tried to use the same amount of pressure on each sample. And actually, I don't think you really can tell a lot of difference. The Crayola might be a little less vibrant because there was a little bit more wax and less pigment, whereas the Prisma has a lot of pigment and less wax. But actually, each one is lovely, you know, any way you look at it. So they're all very pretty looks. For the next one, I went with what I would call more traditional cardstock. This is the kind of stuff that I make my cards out of. It's got a little bit of tooth. It's not super fine, but it's also not as rough as, say, watercolor paper. So here again, we've got the Crayola, the dollar store, Spectrum Noir, Color Soft, and Prismacolor. And again, each one took the Gamsol and blended very nicely. Here again you can see that maybe the Prismacolor is a little bit more vibrant, maybe a little bit more pigment. The Color Soft has some nice pigmentation. The Spectrum Noirs actually seem to be a little lighter on this sample. I'm not exactly sure why, but let me show you my last sample and then we'll continue to discuss. So just for fun, I thought we would try it on some craft cardstock and see how each of the ones did. And you know, just looking at it through the viewfinder, you can see that the Prismacolor, that orange on the inside really pops out. The Color Soft has a lot of vibrancy. Even the Crayola and the dollar store craft ones look pretty good. Spectrum Noirs did not seem to hold up quite so well. So what I'm gathering from some of these samples is that when you've got super smooth cardstock, there's less tooth on the paper, which means that it's going to pick up less crayon or less colored pencil just when you scribble on it. It can only absorb so much because it's so smooth. So you actually do want paper with a little bit of tooth because you can lay more color down. The more color you lay down, the easier it is to start blending it with the Gamsol. So I think really when you take a look, oh, one more sample, hold on. Here we go, ta-da! So this is again the super smooth cardstock, and I really took my time to kind of do some extra shading. By the way, when you use Gamsol, you can lay down color, blend it, and then continue to work into it and add more so that you can get additional shading, which I've tried to do with all the pencils here. Crayola, Spectrum Noir, Color Soft, Prismacolor, and dollar store craft pencils. Again, I think that if you looked at any one of these on a project, you'd think it was very lovely. Some are lighter, obviously the dollar store crafts, less pigment, more wax in the cheap pencils, that's okay. Crayola, maybe a little less pigment, more wax. Prismacolor, definitely more pigment in the pencil. And I don't know, I think it was kind of a tie between the Spectrum Noir and the Color Soft. The Spectrum Noir were the least expensive of the artist grade. Obviously, dollar store was cheap, Crayola was second cheapest, and Spectrum Noir was less expensive than the Prismacolor, and the Prismacolor was less expensive than the Color Soft. So actually, this was kind of the middle of the road of the artist grades. Color Soft was more expensive. But really, it's just kind of up to you and what you have available and the look that you like. So my takeaway from this is that really the pencils only matter a little bit. Use what you have available, use the best that you can afford, but you don't need to buy the most expensive because that's not necessarily going to give you even as good of results as something in the middle of the road. However, using a cardstock that has a little bit of tooth, which will grab more of that colored pencil, will give you more pigment and wax to work with, which makes your blending actually a little more satisfying. Which sample do you like best? I'd love to hear your opinions of which pencil looks nicest to you. I have Prismacolors, and I have most of those, and so I will probably stick with the Prismacolor just because they seem to work well for me, and I love all of the pigment that they put down. But the Spectrum Noirs are very exciting to me, and I'd like to play with them some more. So leave me a comment about what you think. I hope you found this overview helpful and informative. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment in the area below, and I'll answer as many as I can. So if you found this helpful, why don't you give it a thumbs up? It really helps out the channel. And as always, we would love it if you would subscribe to the channel. Just click this box right here. You do have to roll your mouse over it. It will magically appear. And that way you'll stay on top of all of the new videos that we put out. Also, remember to go over to that little gear over by where it says subscribe and click down and make sure you get email notifications. That way you know exactly when they are fresh and piping hot off the grill, the Crafty Grill. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Pinterest and Instagram. It's all at Craft Test Dummy, just one dummy, because it's me. And we hope you have a crafty day.